Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Shallow, and today I'm just hanging out in the starport here. I wanted to show off something that I've been working on. Hey, Doom Guy. Just hanging out with Daisy 2 there. That's cool. You just keep chilling there. This is a WAD that I'm calling Beta Style. This takes inspiration from all the alpha and beta assets for Doom and Doom 2. As you can see down at the bottom here, my pistol is now a rifle, as originally intended. The rifle sprite itself is actually a combination of two different rifles that were used in different stages of development of the game. The keys have been replaced, taking inspiration from early beta keys, although I did add those yellow things from the final keys on the left side just to give them a little more interest. The armors have been replaced. In the early versions of Doom, armor came with boots, so there was only a green armor, but I've added it to the blue armor as well. The weapons, some of them have been changed, most of them actually, some of them are still the same. So like the chainsaw, as far as I'm aware, there was no beta version of the chainsaw, it always existed in this state, so I didn't change it at all. The shotgun, however, looked a little bit different early on in development, so that's what it looks like now. I also added ejecting shells, because originally all weapons were intended to eject shells. The super shotgun had a early Doom 2 sprite that I believe John Romero first showed off on Twitter or something. As far as I'm aware, early versions of Doom 2 were never actually made available. But it didn't have a world sprite, so I made one, taking some inspiration from the Duke Nukem 3D shotgun. And there's what it looks like. This is the only frame that we ever got for it, so I had to add my own reloading frames, or in this case, just to make it a little different from the vanilla Doom Super Shotgun. Again, a little Duke Nukem 3D inspiration. The shells ejecting, I don't know if that makes sense coming out of the bottom like that, but makes it look a little different from the regular shotgun. This right here is the machine gun. This replaces the chain gun in this WAD. Functions exactly like the chain gun, just looks a little different. The rocket launcher, exactly the same. No change to the rocket launcher. The rocket launcher had a weird looking early pickup sprite, but no actual first person sprite. I would like to make a first-person sprite to match that weird-looking pickup sprite, I just don't have the skills to do it, so for now, that's all we got. The plasma gun looks exactly the same in world, but fires green plasma now. Early versions of the plasma rifle fire both green and red, but I believe John Romero said it best, it looks like Christmas, it's terrible. So it just shoots green. I chose to make that creative difference there, just because I think it looks better. And the BFG 9000 is now the BFG 2704 from the Doom Bible. This is an early sprite for the BFG, and it fires just like the BFG does. Let me go ahead and give all to myself, just so I have ammo and stuff for the guns I ran out on. The barrel, I changed a little bit to look similar to the brown barrels that early alpha and beta versions of Doom had, and instead of nukage, I guess it's full of fire dust, which is the mineral that in early versions of Doom the UAC was meant to be mining. No actual change to the function of the barrel, and nukage floors still look like nukage floors. I didn't change those at all. The rocket pickup, it's an open box with some rockets in it. The original sprite is just an open box, but it looks weird, so I added rockets to it. The, box of bullets pickup, which you just saw, has some bullets hanging out of it, kind of like the early versions. This replaces the health potions. It's a little needle. I went ahead and added an animation to it inspired by the final game's potions, just to make it look a little better than the early alpha sprite. And the Stimpak and Medkit were inspired by the old brown medkits. I just updated them to look like the final versions, but they're brown now. The invisibility sphere I borrowed from somebody on Doom World. They made this version. It combines the final version of the invisibility sphere and the early alpha and beta versions, which was this disappearing eye thing. And finally, night vision goggles. Early versions of Doom, instead of goggles, they were a helmet with a red visor. So I've gone ahead and made it Doom Guy's helmet with a red visor. I'm not going to pick those up because I don't need my HUD getting all weird. So that about does it for everything you can pick up. Oh, I've got 200 armor already. But that's not all I did. I also changed some of the enemies. So first things first, here's our zombie man. He's got a helmet on, which I know I'm not the first one to do that. I've seen this all over the place. But the one thing the early versions of the zombie man have that I haven't seen before is the glowing red possessed eyes. So I went and added that onto him, and I think that just kind of completes the look for me. Functions exactly like the original one. The shotgun guy originally I had him looking exactly like the zombie man, but in black. I found it was a little tricky to tell them apart at a glance when you walk into a room. So I made his helmet look a little different. I gave him this cool skull face. Other than that, still inspired by the original Possessed, and functions just like the vanilla version. The final zombie is the chain gunner. Is it not chain gunner? Is it chain gun guy? There it is. Like I said, I replaced the chain gun with a machine gun, so he's got a machine gun now, not a chain gun. And he drops his machine gun. And just like the other two, the helmet made him look just a little too much like the other versions, so he's got horns. Otherwise, functions just like the vanilla version. The Imp was an interesting one. I believe it's Doom Imp, right? Yeah. So the Imp has a different fireball. It's a small little, looks like a plasma ball, and it puffs into smoke. That's directly from the alpha versions of Doom. And the orange face I gave him, I don't believe ever made it into a playable version of the Doom. But we do have screenshots of that, of Doom in its early stages where the Imp has an orange face. So I've given him that. The Pinky Demon famously has a terrible walking animation in early versions of Doom, so I didn't want to just do that. But then I found somebody that took the final version of the Pinky and just slapped the old version of the Pinky's face on him, and that looks fantastic, so I've borrowed that for my WOD. This is the original alpha and beta version face, but with the better animation that the final release version has. Looks great, I love it. The Cacodemons don't look any different. As far as I know, this is what they always looked like. If someone wants to correct me, I'd be happy to make some changes. But what he does have that's different are these little plasma balls. they pop into those little blue puffs when they explode. I think it's pretty cool looking. You'll see the Hell Knight and the Baron have a very similar fireball attack now. Their actual sprites don't look any different, which is a bit of a shame. I mean, that's accurate, I believe, but I've always wanted the two to look different. I just couldn't bring myself to do it for this because it's... I mean, they've always looked like each other. But they do now throw these green plasma balls. So at least they've got that going for them, which is nice. The Revenant... whoops. Looks a little bit different, doesn't he? So this is a sprite made by, I want to say Skelligan made this for Goreless Doom or Bloodless Doom. It's just the Revenant sprite without the blood on him. This is actually what the Revenant looked like before, I believe it was Adrian Carmack did the sprite art, went and painted red all over him. So the original clay model that they scanned in didn't have all that goop. And there are early screenshots of Doom before the Revenant has been finished where it's just the scanned in model, and it looks a little bit like this. It's just sort of a dry skeleton. Let's check out the Archvile, who I wish I could have done more with, because I've never really liked his sprite. It's always kind of looked unfinished to me, which makes sense. He's got a lot of sprites, so he probably had less work put into each sprite than all the other ones did. He still resurrects enemies like normal, but he's got this green fire attack now. And that's because in early versions of Doom, he actually used the BFG fire effect before they made him his own. So to reference that, I just changed his fire attack to green. I didn't want to use the BFG attack itself because it gets a bit confusing. But this, I think, works great. Similar situation happened with the Mancubus. Really, it's not Mancubus? Oh, of course not. It's Fatso. There he is. So the Mancubus sprites are not any different, but he does shoot green fireballs because in early versions, the Mancubus fired Hell Knight balls. And to make him look different than the Hell Knight, I didn't want to just give him the plasma balls, so I colored his final projectiles green. And you'll notice when they impact, they make these green explosions. Now, normally in Doom, they reuse the same explosions that the rockets do, but I was able to get the green explosions and the vanilla rocket explosions separate, which I'm very happy with. Is that all of them? I didn't make any changes to the two bosses, the Spider Mastermind and the Cyber Demon. They're exactly as you would expect them to be. What I did make a change to was the Arachnotron. It now looks like a small version of the Spider Mastermind. I didn't give him an actual hit scan chain gun because that would be bullshit. So instead I just recolored his plasma balls to yellow to maybe give the impression that it's a slow-moving bullet. I don't know. Stop shooting for a second, that sound is annoying. Okay. He's also got the little fangs that the big Spider Mastermind has, the red eyes, and of course an actual chain gun instead of the plasma gun. Great. Yeah, that's it. I believe I've covered everything. This is version 1 of this mod. I am sure I'll make changes and updated as people let me know there's more stuff I could have put in here or things I missed. I'd be happy to update it, but for now, version 1 of the mod is up for download. You can find the link in the description below if you want to use it, just to give your game a little bit of that beta style. If you want to make your own WODs using any resources in this, feel free, go ahead. There's a credits lump in the WOD itself that'll tell you which of these things I made, which things are just id assets from early versions I've used, and which things were created by other people. So definitely give credit where it's due. Thanks, and have a nice day.